Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The greatest threat to any system is the person it cannot predict. That line isn't philosophy. It's a quietly acknowledged reality inside every institution built to manage millions of people. And here's the twist. Studies on behavioral forecasting show that when even 3% of a population refuses to behave in predictable patterns, entire models start to break down. Governments don't exactly panic, but let's just say their spreadsheets begin sweating. And that's where the Sigma male enters the picture, the human glitch the system didn't code for. While society is busy sorting everyone into neat categories, the Sigma walks past the entire chart, like it's a supermarket flyer. He doesn't rebel loudly, he doesn't protest dramatically, and he definitely doesn't ask for permission. He simply refuses to move with the psychological traffic jam everyone else calls normal. Governments adore patterns, routines, and sheep-like predictability. Meanwhile, Sigma males treat patterns like optional side quests. The result? A type of man who accidentally becomes a security breach without even doing anything. A man who breaks societal algorithms simply by existing. A man who makes government analysts whisper, "Who is this guy, and why can't we track what he's going to do next?" And the funniest part, he's not even trying to be mysterious. He just doesn't like being told what to do, how to think, or which trend he's supposed to obey this month. So buckle up, because you're about to discover the Sigma male secret the government doesn't want you to know. Not because it's sinister, but because it's embarrassingly simple. Some men are ungovernable, not by force, but by free will. Number 1, he bonds slowly, which makes him immune to collective thinking. A Sigma male forms connections differently than most people. While the majority rush into friendships, alliances, or social groups, he approaches relationships with caution, observation, and discernment. He doesn't give his trust lightly, nor does he absorb the opinions and emotions of the people around him. This slow bonding process isn't just a personality quirk, it's a protective mechanism that keeps him independent and resistant to group influence. Governments, corporations, and social systems rely heavily on collective thinking, herd behavior, and peer influence. Sigma males operate outside this pattern, making them unusually difficult to manipulate or predict. Because he bonds slowly, the Sigma male avoids being swept up in emotional contagion, mass panic, or ideological fads. While crowds react impulsively to fear, hype, or social pressure, he observes quietly, evaluates carefully, and decides on his own terms. He can interact with groups without becoming absorbed by their collective mindset. This makes him highly strategic and self-reliant, as he isn't making choices based on social approval or trending behavior. His slow bonding approach also means he values depth over quantity. Instead of scattering his attention across multiple superficial connections, he invests selectively, giving his loyalty and influence to a few meaningful relationships. This creates a support system that is both resilient and discreet, free from the noise and volatility of mass opinion. It allows him to act decisively without being swayed by the crowd, while others are still entangled in social validation loops. In a society built on conformity and groupthink, the Sigma male's selective bonding is a quiet form of rebellion. It makes him immune to trends, propaganda, and emotional manipulation. He doesn't need to belong to understand or influence. He can observe and act independently. By taking his time to bond, he protects his autonomy, maintains clarity of thought, and positions himself as an unpredictable, strategic force. In essence, his patience in relationships isn't just social caution. It's a tool for freedom, awareness, and ungovernable independence in a world built to herd the masses. Number 2, he reads the terms and conditions. Before agreeing, one of the quietest but most dangerous traits of a Sigma male is his insistence on understanding the full picture before committing to anything. While most people scroll through agreements, policies, or rules without a second thought, the Sigma male reads them, he studies them, he dissects the fine print. It's not obsession or paranoia. It's a natural instinct for control over his own life. This small act of diligence makes him far more aware than the average person of hidden motives, traps, or manipulative clauses that are designed to limit freedom without anyone noticing. Governments and corporations rely heavily on the fact that most people won't pay attention. They embed obligations, restrictions, or subtle behavioral nudges in contracts, forms, or policies, counting on blind acceptance. They expect compliance without scrutiny. The Sigma male interrupts that system simply by being careful, skeptical, and precise. By taking the time to read and understand, he gains an awareness that most people never have, and that awareness translates into autonomy. He knows what he is agreeing to, what he is committing to, and what levers others might try to pull on him, and he refuses to hand over control blindly. This habit doesn't just protect him legally or financially, it makes him mentally untouchable. While others act according to rules they don't even know exist, he acts with full knowledge. He becomes a step ahead, able to anticipate consequences that most people won't even see coming. That makes him uncomfortable to those who depend on predictability and compliance, because the Sigma male refuses to play by invisible rules designed to shape behavior without permission. It's subtle, almost invisible, but profoundly powerful. The Sigma male doesn't have to loudly challenge authority to disrupt it. By simply understanding what most people overlook, he removes the control others hope to exercise over him. Governments and institutions count on blind consent to operate smoothly. The Sigma male never gives it. He proves quietly and efficiently that knowledge is not just power, it's freedom, and freedom is the ultimate threat to anyone trying to control the masses. Number 3. He doesn't fear being alone. A Sigma male's comfort with solitude is not just a personality quirk, it's a source of power that quietly sets him apart from the crowd. While most people feel anxious, incomplete, or restless when alone, he thrives. He doesn't need constant social validation, approval, or companionship to feel secure. This independence from others' expectations gives him a freedom that is rare, and it makes him fundamentally unpredictable. Governments, corporations, and social institutions rely on networks of influence, peer pressure, and collective behavior to maintain control. The Sigma male operates outside all of that because he is unshaken by isolation. Being alone doesn't make him lonely. It makes him reflective, strategic, and self-reliant. He uses solitude to observe, plan, and understand the world without distraction. This ability to think independently, uninterrupted by groupthink, makes his decisions deliberate and untraceable. He doesn't act to impress anyone, conform to trends, or meet social quotas. That detachment from the crowd makes him quietly resistant to manipulation. Propaganda, peer pressure, or emotional manipulation that easily sways groups have little to no effect on him. The Sigma male's comfort with being alone also makes him resilient. Threats that rely on social leverage or isolation fail because he's already built his own world inside his mind. This resilience can appear almost alien to those conditioned to need constant connection, making him unpredictable and in many ways untouchable. He is the kind of person who can walk away from toxic systems, societal pressures, or manipulative networks without fear or hesitation, something few can do. This fearlessness toward solitude also positions him as a potential catalyst for change. Systems rely on collective compliance, but a person who doesn't fear being alone can challenge norms without needing support, without needing a crowd, and without needing validation. That quiet independence is a threat not because it's loud or rebellious, but because it's invisible and uncontainable. Governments and institutions prefer populations that crave connection and approval. A man who thrives without either undermines the foundations of control simply by existing. Number 4. He learns quietly, observes silently, and acts strategically. A Sigma male moves through the world in a way that makes him nearly invisible until he chooses to act. He doesn't announce his intentions, broadcast his plans, or seek recognition for his insights. Instead, he observes silently, taking in patterns, behaviors, and weaknesses that most people overlook. While others are busy performing, reacting, and seeking approval, he is collecting information, analyzing it, and turning it into a form of personal power. This makes him exceptionally strategic, because every move he makes is calculated rather than impulsive. Governments, corporations, and social structures rely on visibility. They can monitor, influence, and control people who are predictable or loud. Sigma males, however, slip under the radar. They learn what's necessary without drawing attention, notice contradictions others accept, and identify opportunities that remain hidden to the majority. Their silence isn't a lack of engagement. It's an active strategy. By staying unnoticed, they gain a vantage point that allows them to act decisively when it matters most, often in ways that leave others scrambling to catch up. This ability to observe without interference also makes him difficult to manipulate. Most control systems rely on visible responses, emotional reactions, or predictable behavior. The Sigma male doesn't give easy reactions. He doesn't react to fear, gossip, or social pressure. Instead, he processes everything internally, quietly assessing how each element fits into the bigger picture. By the time others notice his actions, the outcome has often already been set into motion. The brilliance of this approach is subtle but profound. He doesn't need to dominate conversations or be in the spotlight to wield influence. His strategy is built on patience, discretion, and foresight, qualities that make him both dangerous and untouchable in a society built for loud compliance. Sigma males prove that real power often comes from quiet observation, not noise, from preparation, not performance, from strategy, not reaction. By learning silently and acting strategically, he becomes a force that systems cannot easily predict, control, or stop. Number 5. He doesn't chase trends, so he can't be herded. A Sigma male refuses to follow the waves of social trends, fads, or viral movements, and that simple choice makes him fundamentally ungovernable. While most people react to external influences, trying to fit in, gain likes, or earn approval, he moves according to his own reasoning, priorities, and timing. Trends rely on the herd mentality. They only work when people compete to follow, replicate, and validate each other's behavior. The Sigma male steps outside that loop entirely. By not chasing trends, he remains invisible to the systems that depend on conformity, and that invisibility is a kind of quiet power. Governments, corporations, and media platforms spend billions understanding and predicting behavior, often by pushing trends, narratives, or popular movements. The goal is to create predictability. If they can make people think and act alike, control becomes easier. Sigma males are statistically inconvenient to that system. Their choices aren't dictated by what everyone else is doing, which makes them impossible to herd or manipulate en masse. A single Sigma male cannot be predicted by trending behavior because he evaluates every situation independently, and he acts based on logic, strategy, or personal interest rather than popular pressure. This refusal to chase trends doesn't make him rebellious for the sake of it. It makes him autonomous. He builds his path according to principles and results, not hype. He doesn't invest time or energy in fleeting popularity or social validation. This detachment from collective patterns means he rarely falls into traps designed to steer behavior subtly, like mass opinion polls, viral campaigns, or psychological nudges embedded in marketing or policy. The Sigma male's independence from trends also allows him to see patterns clearly that others can't. While the herd reacts, he observes and anticipates consequences without distraction. He becomes both invisible and dangerous to systems that rely on predictability, because he cannot be counted, swayed, or forecasted. In a world built for followers, the Sigma male thrives alone, untethered from trends and ungovernable by design. His freedom to ignore the herd is not defiance. It's a statistical anomaly that no algorithm or authority can fully control. Number 6. His curiosity leads him to research things he was never told to. A Sigma male's mind doesn't settle for surface-level understanding. He isn't content with what he's told, what's trending, or what society deems important. His curiosity pushes him to dig deeper, to investigate areas that most people overlook or are even discouraged from exploring. He reads beyond headlines, questions assumptions, and examines the unseen connections between events, people, and systems. This relentless pursuit of knowledge gives him insights that make him invisible to control structures and dangerous to systems built on ignorance or compliance. Governments, corporations, and institutions often operate by controlling what people know and don't know. They release selective information, shaping narratives to guide behavior. Sigma males bypass this entirely. He doesn't wait for information to be handed to him in convenient packets. Instead, he actively seeks it out, cross-checks it, and forms his own conclusions. The knowledge he uncovers isn't always visible to others, but it informs every decision he makes. While the masses are reacting to surface-level signals, he is already several steps ahead, understanding patterns and motives that most people will never notice. This kind of curiosity also makes him mentally autonomous. He doesn't rely on others to interpret information or validate his understanding. By independently uncovering hidden truths, he builds a form of intellectual immunity against manipulation. Propaganda, fear tactics, and selective reporting have minimal effect because he has already explored the context and recognized inconsistencies. He becomes a silent observer and analyst, capable of seeing the gaps that others blindly accept. The Sigma male's drive to research what is not obvious transforms him into someone the system cannot fully track or predict. His knowledge isn't just accumulation of facts, it's strategic awareness. This makes him ungovernable by design, because the more he knows, the less influence external powers have over him. His curiosity is a quiet rebellion, a way to outthink systems without confrontation. In a world built for compliance, the Sigma male quietly turns knowledge into power, proving that the most effective resistance is often invisible and rooted in understanding what others never bothered to question. Number 7. He instinctively ignores forced labels. A Sigma male has an innate ability to see through the labels society tries to place on him and others. While most people scramble to fit into boxes, career titles, social classes, relationship roles, or even personality categories, he doesn't. He refuses to define himself by someone else's framework, and he instinctively resists being categorized. This may seem subtle, but it's deeply disruptive. Systems, governments, and corporations thrive on labels because they make people predictable. Assign a label and suddenly you know how someone should think, act, or respond. The Sigma male refuses to play that game. Labels are a tool for control. They create expectations and limitations. Governments and institutions use them to manage populations, segment behavior, and enforce conformity. Sigma males, by ignoring these labels, become statistically invisible in systems designed to track and influence behavior. He doesn't fit neatly into charts, surveys, or predictive models, and that unpredictability makes him hard to control. He measures himself by his own standards, not by the expectations imposed externally. This instinctive disregard for labels also makes him mentally independent. He doesn't adopt an identity because it's trendy, convenient, or socially rewarded. He shapes his identity from experience, thought, and principle. By rejecting externally imposed definitions, he creates a life that is genuinely his own. Others may conform to their labels, allowing themselves to be manipulated through expectations tied to those roles. The Sigma male is untouched by these manipulations because he doesn't accept the premise that a label defines him. Ignoring labels also allows him to operate in spaces others fear to enter. He can navigate groups, systems, and situations without being pigeonholed, observed, or prejudged. This freedom makes him both invisible and untouchable. The Sigma male's instinctive refusal to accept forced definitions is more than independence. It's a quiet form of resistance. In a world built for categorization, his ability to exist outside labels challenges the very foundations of control, proving that sovereignty begins with refusing to be defined by anyone but yourself. Number 8. He values logic over collective emotions. A Sigma male doesn't get swept up in the emotional currents that drive most people. While the majority reacts instinctively to fear, excitement, anger, or popular sentiment, he evaluates situations through reason and observation first. This doesn't make him cold or unfeeling. It makes him untouchable in environments designed to manipulate emotion. Governments, corporations, and social systems rely heavily on collective emotional reactions to maintain control. Emotional triggers create predictability. When millions respond to fear, hope, or outrage in the same way, authorities can steer behavior, guide opinions, and enforce compliance. The Sigma male refuses to participate in this. By valuing logic above collective sentiment, he becomes difficult to influence. He sees patterns that others miss because he is not distracted by the emotional drama surrounding him. He notices contradictions, hidden motives, and flawed reasoning in public narratives that the herd blindly accepts. While others react impulsively, he plans, calculates, and acts deliberately. His decisions are guided by long-term outcomes and practical understanding rather than short-term emotional impulses. This approach also gives him clarity in social dynamics. He doesn't chase popularity or conform to social pressures simply to be accepted. Emotional manipulation, peer pressure, and mass panic have little effect on him because he measures outcomes against logic and principle rather than feeling. This independence from collective sentiment makes him unpredictable and quietly powerful. The Sigma male's commitment to logic over emotion also allows him to operate strategically. He can interact with groups without being absorbed into their emotional states. He can predict outcomes without being influenced by hype or fear. This mental autonomy is invisible but formidable. In a world designed for people who follow feelings over reason, he becomes statistically rare and extraordinarily ungovernable. By prioritizing logic over collective emotion, the Sigma male operates in freedom, making choices that align with understanding rather than influence, and proving that real control lies not in manipulation of the many, but in the unshakable mind of the individual. Number 9. His lack of obsession with social ranking makes him immune to status-based manipulation. A Sigma male doesn't measure his worth by the positions he holds, the titles he accumulates, or the approval he receives from peers. While most people chase recognition, influence, and social validation, he operates independently of these pressures. This lack of obsession with status makes him immune to a form of control that governments, corporations, and social systems exploit constantly: the manipulation of ambition through hierarchical structures. By ignoring the social ladder, he removes one of the most common levers used to steer behavior. Society thrives on the pursuit of status because it creates predictability. People work harder, conform more, and make choices that align with externally imposed rewards simply to climb the social hierarchy. The Sigma male doesn't participate in this game. He doesn't compete for titles, likes, or prestige because he evaluates success through his own metrics, not those dictated by external systems. This makes him unpredictable and, in many ways, untouchable to influence attempts that rely on envy, ambition, or fear of social judgment. Because he doesn't rely on recognition, he is free to make decisions others might avoid. He can step away from toxic structures, bypass unnecessary drama, and focus on what truly matters to him, rather than what will impress the crowd. This independence also makes him more aware of the subtle ways society manipulates ambition. He notices how rewards are structured, how status is dangled as motivation, and how systems use comparison to control behavior. Instead of being manipulated, he observes and uses this knowledge strategically. The Sigma male's detachment from social ranking isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. It grants him the ability to operate outside social pressures while remaining effective and influential on his own terms. In a world built to reward conformity and social climbing, he becomes an anomaly. His freedom from the obsession with status allows him to act rationally, strategically, and independently, making him a quiet disruptor in systems designed to control through hierarchy, ambition, and the endless chase for recognition. Number 10. He builds internal stability instead of relying on external systems. A Sigma male doesn't depend on external structures, institutions, or approval to feel secure. While most people anchor their stability in jobs, social networks, government systems, or the approval of others, he develops his own internal framework that holds regardless of outside circumstances. This internal stability gives him a quiet but formidable independence, and it's one of the reasons he's fundamentally ungovernable. Systems are built on dependency. The more people rely on them for security, income, identity, or validation, the easier they are to influence and control. The Sigma male, by contrast, reduces his reliance on all of that. He invests in self-reliance, emotional resilience, and intellectual autonomy. Challenges that would destabilize others barely touch him, because he has already built the mental, emotional, and strategic tools to navigate adversity without external crutches. This makes him unpredictable and difficult to manipulate. Governments, corporations, and social systems assume people will react in ways that maintain the status quo. When someone operates from internal stability rather than external influence, their actions cannot be forecasted, nor can they be directed with typical levers of control. This approach also allows him to think long-term. Free from the constant pressure to conform, perform, or seek validation, he can plan and act based on principles and strategy rather than immediate reward or fear. He can weather instability, economic shifts, and social chaos, while others panic or scramble for guidance. That independence, quiet as it is, disrupts the assumption that all individuals are predictable based on external pressures. Internal stability also makes him inherently resistant to manipulation. Emotional blackmail, peer pressure, social trends, and propaganda have little effect because his foundation doesn't rely on them. He doesn't have to conform to survive. He survives by his own standards. In a world designed to make dependency the norm, a Sigma male's self-contained stability is not just rare, it's threatening. It demonstrates that true freedom isn't rebellion against authority, it's the refusal to need it in the first place. Number 11. He understands both the system and the people rebelling against it. A Sigma male has a rare ability to navigate both sides of the spectrum. the structured system that governs society and the individuals who resist it. Most people align with one side or the other. They either follow rules blindly or rebel without fully understanding the framework they oppose. The Sigma male, however, observes and analyzes both. He understands how the system operates, the levers of power, and the mechanisms designed to influence behavior. At the same time, he perceives the motivations, weaknesses, and strategies of those challenging that system. This dual awareness gives him a perspective that few possess, and a power that often goes unnoticed. Governments, corporations, and social structures rely on clear divisions. They prefer people to be predictable, either compliant or oppositional, but never a mix of both. The Sigma male doesn't fit neatly into either category. He doesn't blindly obey, nor does he rebel for show. He acts independently, informed by an understanding of the rules and an awareness of human behavior. This makes him strategically invisible. While others are caught in conflict, distraction, or manipulation, he moves freely, using knowledge from both sides to make decisions that serve his interests and maintain his autonomy. This dual insight also allows him to anticipate consequences that neither the system nor the rebels fully consider. He sees the weak points in policies, the vulnerabilities in social movements, and the unintended outcomes of both obedience and defiance. That awareness makes him a step ahead in every situation, quietly navigating chaos while others are trapped by it. The Sigma male's ability to understand both the system and its opposition isn't about control or dominance, it's about clarity and freedom. He doesn't need to pick a side because he can operate outside of the binary. That independence makes him unpredictable and ungovernable. In a world that thrives on alignment, categorization, and predictable behavior, his dual awareness is a quiet but extraordinary form of power, one that exposes the limitations of control and demonstrates the unmatched advantage of thinking for oneself. Number 12. His mind is sovereign, and sovereign minds cannot be governed. The ultimate secret of a Sigma male lies in the independence of his mind. While most people allow their thoughts, decisions, and beliefs to be shaped by authority, trends, or social pressures, he maintains complete sovereignty over his own thinking. This isn't arrogance or rebellion for the sake of it. It's a fundamental refusal to surrender mental autonomy. Governments, corporations, and societal systems depend on influence. They shape behaviors, manipulate opinions, and engineer compliance by controlling the flow of information and expectation. The Sigma male is quietly immune to all of it because his mind cannot be purchased, persuaded, or coerced. Sovereign thinking means he evaluates everything through his own lens. He questions narratives, examines motives, and refuses to accept conclusions without personal verification. He isn't swayed by popularity, fear, or authority. He makes choices based on logic, strategy, and principle. This makes him unpredictable, untraceable, and in many ways untouchable. Systems designed to control the masses depend on conformity. When one person refuses to conform mentally, they expose the gaps in these structures, demonstrating that obedience is optional and influence has limits. A Sigma male's mental sovereignty also grants him freedom to act independently. He doesn't follow rules because he is told to, and he doesn't rebel blindly. He chooses action with complete awareness of consequences, and his decisions are guided by his own priorities rather than social expectation. This autonomy is the foundation of true power. While the majority are easily guided through emotion, peer pressure, or authority, the Sigma male moves according to his own understanding of reality. This is why he is fundamentally threatening to controlled systems, not because he is loud or confrontational, but because he exists outside their influence entirely. Governments and social structures prefer compliance, predictability, and dependence. But a sovereign mind operates without any of those limitations. The Sigma male proves that ultimate freedom is not about wealth, influence, or force. It is about thought. When your mind belongs to no one but yourself, you are ungovernable, and that quiet independence is a power most systems are unequipped to confront. The Sigma male is not a myth, a trend, or a stereotype. He is a living embodiment of independence, strategy, and mental sovereignty. Every point we've explored reveals a man who refuses to be governed by external expectations, societal pressures, or even invisible systems designed to predict and control behavior. From his ability to operate quietly and strategically, to his refusal to chase trends, to his comfort in solitude and rejection of labels, the Sigma male exists as an anomaly, a glitch in the predictable algorithms of society. He doesn't seek attention, approval, or validation, yet his very existence challenges the structures that rely on conformity. His mind is his own, his actions calculated, and his freedom absolute, making him both invisible and uncontainable to systems that attempt to dominate the masses. What makes the Sigma male truly extraordinary is that his power is subtle, almost invisible. He doesn't need to fight, manipulate, or dominate. His independence, curiosity, and ability to think critically quietly dismantle assumptions and control mechanisms that shape ordinary lives. Governments and institutions may never openly admit it, but the Sigma male exposes a truth that is both simple and revolutionary. Real freedom and influence come from thinking for oneself, acting deliberately, and refusing to be confined by what others dictate. In a world designed for followers, he proves that one person, armed with awareness, strategy, and unshakable self-reliance, can exist entirely on his own terms, quietly disrupting expectations and rewriting the rules of engagement. If this breakdown of the Sigma male's secrets gave you a new perspective on independence, strategy, and the untouchable power of a sovereign mind, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel for more content that challenges the ordinary and explores the extraordinary. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts, experiences, or insights. We want to hear what you think about living outside the herd. And don't forget to like and share this video with anyone ready to see the world differently, because knowledge this powerful is meant to be spread. Stay aware, stay independent, and remember, true power begins where the herd ends.